Okay guys, carrying on from the last episode where I couldn't continue with the suspension job on this Escort because I had the wrong springs. I'm very pleased to say the new springs have now arrived and they look to be exactly the right ones. So nice fresh springs to go on the nice fresh shocks. So again, I'm going to carry on with where I left off last time, chuck the top mounts on these shocks, get the new springs on there of course, and then put it all back on the Escort. So let's crack on. Okay, after a lot of fiddling, that is the standard suspension back on the car. Now, I don't know if it's the same on camera here, but this looked a little bit goofy when I put it together. I thought the arch gap at the front seemed more than the rear, and the arch gap is a little more, but I think it's just because we've had coilovers on the car, it looks so much different. To check the level ride, I've measured from the bottom of this rub strip all along the car, and it's completely level, rear and front, same measurement, front and back on both sides. So the car is riding totally level. It's just that arch gap I think looks a little bit big because we've put the small wheels back on with the standard suspension. As I've said several times in this series and also in the comments to you guys, if I was keeping this car, I would definitely put something like 17s or 18s on it, and I would run the coilovers but dialed in, probably with the wheels slightly spaced out just to make it look cool. But you know, the value is in the originality with this one, so that's the reason I've gone back to standard suspension here, and I'm going to put these RS package wheels on when I sell it. Now, when I do sell it, I probably will offer the coilovers as well. So if anyone who buys this car does want the coilovers in the boot and they want to do something with them in the future, they will have the choice to do that. But certainly, as it's going to be advertised, it will be in standard spec like this. With that being said, the next thing I need to tackle is the cam belt. Now, the cam belt hasn't actually arrived yet, the kit itself. So until that happens, there's a couple of other jobs I can get on with. This car needs a full detail because obviously it's got quite dusty and dirty while I've been messing around with suspension and brakes, etc. So I think while I'm waiting for that cam belt to arrive, I am going to get on and give this thing a pretty good detail inside and out. Basically try and make it as ready to sell as possible. And then when that cam belt kit comes, get that fitted. And then that is really the only mechanical work that this car needs, as it's got full service history. So I think the next thing to crack on with is to give this thing a good clean up and make it look a bit fresher and a bit brighter. With the dust knocked off the Escort, it is looking much fresher, and I'm pleased to say, aside from that, the suspension has settled since yesterday. The front may look ever so slightly high, but I think it's just because these wheels are a lot smaller than what we're used to seeing on in the last couple of episodes. As mentioned before, the measurement from the bottom of this strip at the front and the bottom of that strip at the back is exactly the same ground to bottom of the strip, so the car is riding totally level. I'm very pleased to let that be. So as I say, I've cleaned all the dust off this car before I give it a proper detail. Now, it does look absolutely lovely, but I'll tell you what you can't see on camera is that the areas where obviously I haven't painted, it feels slightly textured, so that means it needs clay barring. There's small impurities caught in the paint. It's not a problem, it's a very quick fix just to clay bar the car, but that will be the next phase. However, before I jump onto the clay barring, what I want to talk about is this roof. As you can see, the roof is in lovely condition. It's slightly damp at the moment because I've just cleaned the car, but before it fully dries out, what I want to do is treat this with some aerospace protectant, because as I said, hood's perfect, and while it's all taut and up, I want to use some aerospace protectant just to make sure the vinyl is fed and looked after. So I'll do that next, and then I'll take the car inside and give it a clay bar, ready for some polishing and final detailing on the exterior. And then it's just a case of cleaning up the interior as much as possible. It's already pretty lovely, but of course I'll give it a once over. And then we should be looking pretty good. The cam belt has now arrived, so that will be getting fitted as soon as these exterior detailing jobs are done. So I know you might be watching this and thinking, why am I polishing this car? It looked pretty bright outside. Well, yes, the paint was pretty bright, but I knew it could be better. And a good example is this boot lid. I've started polishing the boot lid. I've done about 2/3 of it this way. If I show you the paint, this is where I haven't machine polished. You can see the reflection from the skylight there. You might be able to pick up there's a slight haze in the paint. If I move across here, you'll see, hopefully, where it changes to the machine polished area. Now that's only just one pass with a machine polisher. I'm going to give it another pass, and I'm obviously going to give it a final glaze polish at the end of the session, so it'll be a lot better than that anyway. But you can really tell what does look like good paint from afar. When you're up close, it's a bit hazy. It can be a lot better. So that is why I'm polishing this car, and I think doing that all over will really make this thing pop and make it even more impressive than it already is. So bit of a task, but I'm going to carry on and machine polish the rest of it. So that is the machine polish now completed, and I'm very happy with how well this paint has come up. As I said to you just now, it wasn't obviously bad. I mean, it wasn't bad at all, to be honest, but with this machine polish done, you can see just how well this zinc yellow has come up. And also it has changed the tone of the car slightly, so it's sort of a deeper, richer yellow now that it's all been matched in by means of machine polishing. So I'm very happy with that. Now obviously machine polishing alone isn't enough to preserve this paint. This does need top polish, so I'm going to put a fine glaze over this paint now. I'm going to go around and hand polish it basically. So that's the very next stage, and then I can finally get on with looking at these mechanical jobs. Okay, now that the Escort is looking a lot better, I'm about to start on the interior, but before I do that, there's a problem I want to sort. We have got this original Ford stereo in the car, but the problem with it is, when you turn it on, whereas it does power up, it only stays on tape mode. At the moment, you can see it says tape B. I can't get it to go on any other mode. it just won't work. No matter what I do, it won't work. So in order to sort that out, I think the first thing I should probably do is to remove the stereo from power, let it reset, put it back in. Now fortunately, I do have all the original book packs with this car, including the Ford audio systems and radio code number. So taking that stereo out and having to recode it is really not a problem, but I think that's the first thing to do before I worry about the internals of the stereo unit itself. Okay, so here's the situation. I can't actually sort this head unit because it's not asking me for a code or anything, it's just giving me the EE error. Now, I've done a bit of research and my understanding is that when it's showing this EE error, it means that it's thinking it's had the incorrect code entered too many times, so it's locked out. I haven't even had a chance to enter the code yet, so I don't know why it's doing that. I believe from a bit of research on the forums, you can send these head units away to be unlocked, as it were, by a specialist. Obviously, I don't have the time to send the head unit away, have it sorted and get it back. So as much as I would like to have this original head unit working in this car, I think the short-term solution for me is to put a modern head unit in for now. Something probably with Bluetooth, because let's be honest, everyone driving these days needs to have Bluetooth for phone connectivity and things. So I'll probably put a modern Bluetooth head unit in, but be sure to include the original stereo in the box with the car, so that if whoever buys this car wants to completely return it to factory standard and have this one back in the car, they can get it sent away and reprogrammed or whatever it needs. But certainly whilst I'll sell the car, I want it to have a functional stereo. So the solution right now is to go and find a sympathetic single DIN Bluetooth head unit, not something that looks too silly modern, but just something that will do the job for now, so that whoever buys this car will have the ability to listen to music, listen to the radio, even answer their phone remotely. So yes, I would much prefer the original stereo to work, but for those reasons I don't think I'm going to be able to make it happen this time. So this one will stay with the car in a box, but the car will actually leave me with a modern Bluetooth stereo. It's just the way it's got to be. So while I'm waiting for that new head unit to arrive, I'm going to get on with the timing belt on this Escort. Now, as I've said to you in the past, I don't generally do internal engine works myself, so things like timing belts, I generally get the car sent out. But because I know a lot of you like to see this content, I've actually got my friend Crazy Chris, who is a mechanic. He's coming over. He's the guy that normally takes on cam belts and things for me. He's going to come here and help me do the cam belt on this Escort. So you'll see another person with me now. That is Crazy Chris. So we're going to fit this timing belt to the car, and then it shouldn't need one for a little while yet. So that's good news, and it should help to sell the car quickly. Okay, that's the cam belt done, a nice fresh one on the car. Obviously that means the engine bay is now a little bit grubby and dirty in a place or two. It's not an issue. I've been saving detail in this engine bay until that work was done. So I'm gonna give everything a good clean up to make it look a bit better, but most importantly, I'm gonna freshen up a few bits to make it look that much better, including the rocker cover and this heat shield. Little things, but when they're done, I think it will lift the whole engine bay. Now finally, of course, I can finally get rid of where they've written cam belt fit at 29,000 miles. That's now irrelevant. I'll get rid of that handwritten felt tip, and I will put on a proper sticker detailing the cam belt when it was done, the mileage, the date, etc. So that's the next phase, to tidy this engine bay up and make it look a little bit more in keeping with the rest of the car. So as part of the engine bay freshen up, something else I'm going to be dealing with are these areas of black. Now what that is wax oil. As I said when I was doing the wheel arches, this car has been very well protected from the underneath. And as part of that, I think what they've done is sprayed wax oil on the backside of all of these panels, and it has come through in a place or two, which is good. It's kind of protected things. It just doesn't look fantastic. So grateful it's been done, but I'm going to clean off all this wax oil that you can see, just so everything that should be yellow is yellow, and it just looks a little bit fresher. So because it's wax oil, I can get away with just using brake cleaner, nothing too aggressive. Just brush it back and that will look a lot better before I then start freshening other bits up and ultimately giving it its final detail.
Okay, that's it guys, Escort is now finished, and even if I do say so myself, I think it is looking absolutely fantastic. Now that zinc yellow paint is always going to be an in-your-face colour, but that paint correction I gave the car really helps to make it pop even more. In addition to that, the standard suspension is back on the car, so the car does look exactly like it should, and as it did when it left the showroom in 1993. Also, of course, the car has had a camber. It didn't need a fluid service because that was not long done before I bought the car, but it did need a camber in my opinion, so that has been done. So the car really wants for nothing. It looks absolutely fantastic, and I do believe it is going to represent a fantastic investment for someone. So the only non-standard part I've got on this car is that head unit. Now, as explained, I couldn't get the original Ford unit to work, but that will be included with this car, along with a box of accessories that came to it with me, including a tonneau cover for this folded roof. But the original stereo is staying with the car, it's just not fitted. However, I do think that aftermarket head unit is probably a little bit more useful for people these days, in the fact it's got Bluetooth. And we all know how much trouble you can get into by using your phone when you're driving. You do need a Bluetooth connectivity head unit. So I think that's actually a bit of a positive addition to the car. Other than that, it is completely standard, and I think one of the better examples on the market. So that brings me to my next point. What am I going to do with this car now? I can only see values for things like this going up and up in the coming years. That being said, I will be selling the car, and that is my next point to you. As always with these sort of cars, I like to give you guys, the viewers of this channel, first opportunity to buy my cars. Before I advertise it in the wider market, I will always tell you guys first. So here we are. This is a 1993 Mark 5A Ford Escort SI spec Cabriolet, and it has got all the bells and whistles, everything works. It is just a perfect example. This one has covered just under 54,000 miles. It's got a fresh cam belt on it. As you've seen, it's got all brand new suspension on it, new lower arms. The whole thing is just as good as can be. Now, what am I going to be asking of all of this collectability? Surprisingly, I'm only going to be asking $5,995 for this car. Now, I did tell you when I first bought this was for sale in 2021 for £10,000. And in my opinion, it wasn't in as good a condition then as it is now leaving me. However, I'm only asking just shy of £6,000 for this car. So if you've been watching this series and you've been thinking to yourself you would like to get your hands on this ultra cool Ford Escort Cabriolet, you can get in touch with me by email. I'll put my email address on screen now. It is johnny@johnnyGetsCash.com. Send me an email if you've got any questions, if you want more information on the car, and if you'd like to purchase it, just let me know. I will mention nationwide delivery in mainland UK is available on this car. Just let me know where you are and we can work on a price for you. So as sorry as I will be to see this one go, I do hope it's going to go to a really good home, and I think that's probably the case, especially if it goes to one of you guys, the viewers of this channel. I couldn't be more pleased with this car. I really do think it's going to offer someone a fantastic investment, but also a fun car, especially as we're in the summer now. It doesn't look like it, I know, but we are in the summer and someone will be able to have some fun with the roof down for a few months yet, I believe. And you know, if you hold on to this, what could it be worth in 5 or 10 years? Who knows? I mean, my personal feeling is in 10 years, if Ford values continue to increase the way they have over the past 10 years, is £15,000 or £20,000 out of the question? Probably not. So as always guys, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will of course catch you on the next one. Cheers.